Hello and welcome to another Honda CB200 video. In this one I am aiming to remove the rear wheel, suspension, chain and the swing arm. Okay, so we're going to remove the suspension, chain guard, chain off this side. The suspension strut's on the other side still, so we can leave that in place for now. That will hold it all in place while we get all this gubbins off. Just off camera at this end is the chain cover on the engine, and we may need to remove that to get the chain guard off. But firstly we've got to remove this. That's off. In here do this one. Okay. Going to undo the top suspension nut, which will then free up these handles. So I'll do that one. This side. Okay. Back to where we were. Oh. So this should now come out of the way. Then got another big washer, and then this should then come off there nicely. Some more space for washers, and there's our strut off and out of the way. Right, I'm going to put that back there. Just so it's out of the way. This beauty off, which is the chain guard. So this is a 10mm bolt. The nuts fixed inside the mud guard. So there's a pin on that end, and this end. Oh, not much of that bolt holding that chain guard in place. Chain guard, and it is going to be not that filthy, but definitely rusty and could do with a sandblast and a clean up. So this can go either really easily or a pain. So a pair of pliers, hold the chain in place. Oh. Okay, so off comes this bit. Plate comes off, and then we can separate the chain with this piece. So putting something underneath to catch the chain. Then just rotate. old chain off. Right. Now that we've got the chain off, one thing that's good to do at this point before you undo anything is just to have a listen to the bearings in the wheel. Just if you can hear anything, particularly when this bike's been sat for about 1.5 years now, it's not 2 years. But is to have a play with the wheel and the bearing just to see if there's anything going on that you can detect while it's in position in here. So first off, grabbing it at the 3 o'clock position, giving it a slight wobble. Try not to wobble the whole thing because that will then start affecting this. Just a little wobble. At 3 o'clock, nothing in the wheel. 12 o'clock, nothing in the wheel, and then a spin and a listen. Now I doubt you can hear this, but I have a funny suspicion that this might have some water in it. Because I'm hearing the most funniest sounds coming from over this region where the tyre goes up. Yeah, anyway, so the next thing to do is to remove the strut on the other side and the bar. So I will get the in a position on the other side, get set up, and we will remove the brake strut, brake lever here, brake retention thing to stop the wheel going round. Then I'll take off the suspension arm, and that will just leave us with then the axle bolt going through here to get the whole wheel off. We're here on the other side of the bike now, and we need to remove the brake lever, which is this piece here, or the brake arm, activation arm. So this comes up here, and at the moment it's tied loose because it should come through and attach to here, which is part of the brake lever. And if you remember from previous videos, we had the fun getting the centre stand bolt out, and freeing that up so we've got free movement, which we now have. So this hasn't been reattached since doing that. So this coming along here is simply a case of undoing this, so holding this still and undoing that. We then have this bar rod that stops this whole unit, here, rotating when you put the back brake on. So we need to remove the clip here and undo the nut. The bolt's attached to the main body here, and then up here, and you'll see you won't be able to make out. My finger's touching the one up here. Exactly the same thing. You've got a clip, just like here, and a nut to come off. So let's get this undone. Keep on going, nearly off. So I'm pushing forward so that stays clipped in at that end. You would normally have to do that if it's all attached to that end. So that comes out. This, don't lose this piece. Okay, and because it's not attached at that end, that just pops off, and there we have. So we put that piece back on, and then we do that up just like so. Okay, the next thing to do is to get this clip out here, the clip out at the other end, undo the nut, and then take this piece off. Should be very easy. And then I'll take the suspension off as well, and then all we're left to do is take the axle bolt out and get the wheel out. Okay, so unfortunately the bolt that holds this on should be sealed into place, so you just undo the nut, but the actual bolt's all loose, so I need to get some mole grips in there. So it's pretty easier to get to all of that once I've got the wheel out. So to get the wheel out, we just simply got to take out the split pin holding it in place, undo the nut, slide out the bolt, and then the wheel will drop out of here. Undone the suspension strut at the top, and it's undone at the bottom, but it's keeping the arm up, which gives me a little bit of lift at the bottom here, makes it a bit easier for it all to come out. So that's what we've got to do next. Now, the real hope is that it comes out easily, but the best thing to do, or one thing to do, if it's not going to come out easily, which I think it will do, is to leave the nut on and gently tap this with a bit of wood and a hammer, so you don't dent this. Don't bash this bolt at all with a hammer, without the nut being on, and without something soft to protect it all. And that's the lot, so let's have a look. It's all laid out. Nut, spacer, tensioning adjustment, spacer, brake unit, wheel, spacer, chain adjuster, other half of the wishbone on there. Okay. In this case we had to put 2 washers on the inside. Okay, we're now looking on that, trying to pull that out at the same time. There we go. A load of thread lock and a load of corrosion. Yep, anyway, there we are. Washers, suspension, more washers, yeah, a load of khaki washers. There's that one off. So what I'm left with is the swing arm, which is fine. Try and put you there. I think you can just make out that play in the camera. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push. Okay, we're at the stage where we've now got wheel off. I managed to get that bracing arm off. The bolt, actually, it's not a fixed one, it's a bolt, so a bit of a spanner on the other end and undo the nut. But that's the part in it as it is. There it is. So that end is up towards the front of the bike, and that end goes on the brake unit. So we're building up quite a few parts on the bench here, so a quick chain replace, brakes, brake pads look pretty good, so I think a bit of a clean up in there, tidy up, spruce up of the body because it's looking a bit dull and a bit oxidized, so we'll clean that up, and then a load of the parts, other parts that are in there we need to clean up and tidy up. Advantage, I suppose, of a video or filming is that we get to see it all come apart and go back together again. And a nicely greased axle nut all there. Right, so we're now at the stage where, if we walk around here, it's a bit dark now, it's quite late now, that we need to remove this nut here on the swing arm pivot bolt. But I'm going to have to let you into confession while the camera was downloading, because I just had to pop out and download the camera. I was getting the socket ready and spanner and all that kind of thing for doing this, and I went to go give it a tug, see how tight it was, and it was very loose to say the least. So I've checked the torque settings and it should be 43. Let's double check from the book, Haynes Fairy Tales. So I don't know, you won't be able to read this because of the way the camera is. So swing arm pivot bolt is 43.4 to 50.6 pounds-foot. Now I just checked this and it's nowhere near that. I've just put it to that, and guess what? All that play has disappeared. But this swing arm is now incredibly stiff, which I don't see the problem with that. So the question is, do I carry on or do I clean up and reassemble? So I've had a good look, and the swing arm has got some signs of rust in it, and so I think the safest thing as we come this far is to carry on. So what we're going to do is we are going to remove the pivot swing arm pivot bolt nut, and we're going to try and drive the bolt out through the other side and take off this swing arm. I can then fully clean, degrease, check out and have a good inspection of this swing arm, and if that pitting and rusting that I have seen is as bad as I suspect, then I need to find someone who's good at welding. So let's square away and get ready for undoing all of this and go from there. So here's the nut that we need to undo, and so now I've gone and done that with some torque wrenches. A bit of a beastie, but there we are, we're moving. Undo now by hand. Now I've got a grease nipple on the end of mine, so what I'm going to actually do is give that a wipe and see if it's something I can easily remove. Now it's a standard assembly, but there isn't a grease nipple on these, so I think the previous owner to me had this grease nipple fitted. So there we are. So undo that so it's protecting that, and we are now as loose as a loose thing, and I'm just wondering if, no, I can't push it through by hand. Okay, well, okay, that's loose. So I've keeping the nut on this side so I don't damage the grease nipple that's on there, unscrewing, rotating the bolt on the other side and just pushing it through until the nut will come off and I can't put any more. The best thing I can then do is pull from the other side while rotating the bolt. Now look at that, one lovely swivel arm pivot bolt out. Sweet. The next job is going to be getting this out, so it should pull out. Okay, something's stopping it. Let's have a look. If something ain't going out sweetly, stop and have a look. Okay, got a bit of cabling here, maybe drainage or earth cable, not quite sure. Ah, okay. Cap off. Cap off the other side. Swing arm out. Oh, that ain't pretty. Look at the rust on that. That ain't pretty at all. That's scarily unpretty. Right. That's bad. Yeah. Yeah. Finger prick test, look. Straight through. That's bad. Okay, so let's assess. Let's select all the parts. We've got the swing arm. Put that down. Excuse my head. We got a sort of a washer cap seal from the far side. There should be another one. Okay, I've got a sort of a rubbery kind of cap. Let's carry on exploring. Nothing else. This side. Again, what feels like a rubbery cap. Yeah, there it is, a rubbery cap. So that obviously that sits around the frame hole in there. So we've got this rubbery cap. So it sits around a lip around the entrance point here and the other side. So you've got these two rubbers. They go both sides of the frame. Then swing arm sits into that. Washer seal on the outside. Washer seal on the outside. So the question is, are these going to be serviceable? That's a big deal. That could be a game changer. Oh well. So the swing arm off, so I'll get the bits together, swing arm together, and we'll go have a look on the bench, shall we? Right, so here are all our parts removed. Try and be as silly as I can. So we've got the top nuts and the bolts and the washers and spacers from the suspension, and then there's our suspension. We've then got screws that held on the mudguard. There's the mudguard. It's not in that bad a condition. It needs de-rusting, degreasing, a really good scrub down. Love it to be bead blasted and powder coaty jobby, but we'll see. But there's that. There's also our brake lever, brake rod. So all together, we'll go up to the end. There's our little end. So there's that. There's our restrainer rod that stops the whole brake thing from rotating when you brake. So I've put all the washers, nuts, etc. together, and the clips to retain it all together in to keep it all safe. And likewise over here on the brake unit itself, there's the pin and the nuts, etc. All there, all keep it together so you don't lose it. You might not be returning to a part like this for months, and in my case years. So keep everything together. So we then got the axle and the relevant parts on the wheel. So we've got obviously the nuts, split pins somewhere back here. This is a throwaway, so we throw it away now. So it's gone. So nut, washer in the order. Then we get the tensioner, spacer, spacer, tensioner, and the end of it. So there's those bits, and we then come to the swing arm. So On this bike, at some point somebody's put on some grease nipples, which has really made this job really easy, to be honest. So we've got a grease nipple at this end, then there's a groove in the shaft, which I believe is where there's a hole in there where the grease was coming out. Then come along, then there's another groove, and again there are holes there for then another grease nipple at this end. So we've then got these kind of washers, but they've got a rubber seal inside them. Then we've got, like I said, sort of a rubbery seal, and that actually attaches to the frame, and that goes over the housing end of the bushing end of the swing arm, and likewise we've got the other pair there. So we then of course have got the swing arm, and here it is in all its glory. So let's have a look at just the sort of business end, as it were. So in here should be a plastic bushing and a metal bushing inside it. So I think you might be able to make out the line just here. So that's the plastic bushing, that's the metal bushing. And then again, plastic bushing on the inside, and on the other side it's exactly the same. Those rubbery ones sit on the frame here and cup over that, and likewise on that side. And then the washer with the rubber in it goes on the outside here with the bolt all the way through. So I need to clean and obviously sort that out, but the biggest thing with this is all of this. All of this is gone. So we've also got the big hole there, that was a finger cave into that one. I can see daylight through here, and again I can poke my finger through that as well if I push hard enough. We then got this is where this goes in. Obviously it would be that way around, like that. That's where that goes into there to retain the brake. We've got pitting over here as well, look. Oh, again, all there. You can just hear the rust inside. So yeah, right. I'm going to clean these up first. Let's degrease this lot because it's making a right mess, and tidy this up. And yeah, and then have a look and see what we might be able to do. The question is, can I find someone who can weld that? They're going to have to be a pretty good welder. Anyway, let's get this degreased and cleaned up, and we'll look at these bushings and the bearing things in there. See when this bit gets clean.